Hello again. Like many people, I was hugely entertained to see Cleopatra, a Greek, transformed into a black African for a recent television series. This was part of a general plan to persuade us all that black Africans played a far more important role in world affairs in ancient times than was actually the case. The Egyptians were furious about this. Some people just can't take a joke, can they? A similar game has been played, of course, with British history by pretending that there was once a black Roman emperor who lived and died in this country. I've explained before about Septimius Severus, who now makes an annual appearance during Black History Month, although he was not, of course, black. The essence of this swindle is that Africa is deliberately confused with black, and so anybody from Africa is claimed as being black. That is why Cleopatra was played by a black woman. Cleopatra may have been a Greek living in Egypt, but of course Egypt is in Africa, so it's fine to pretend that she was black. Exactly the same trick is now being played with Hannibal, of whom we all heard as children. He was the Carthaginian leader who took elephants over the Alps and invaded Italy. What a coup it would be if such a famous person could be claimed as a black hero from history. Lo and behold, in a new Netflix show about Hannibal, the title role is being played by Denzil Washington, who may be seen in the thumbnail to this video. And in the description to the video, I give a link to a piece explaining all about the new Netflix program. There are two slight problems, though. The first is, of course, that Hannibal was just 29 years old when he crossed the Alps with an army. Denzil Washington is a year short of 70. Now, I know that this is acting, and that we must, as they say in stage school, be willing to suspend disbelief, but this really is stretching it a bit. I know Sarah Bernhardt was playing the teenage St. Joan well into her 70s, and when she had a wooden leg into the bargain, but even so. The more serious difficulty is, of course, that Hannibal wasn't actually black at all. He was Carthaginian. Carthage was a colony founded by the Phoenicians almost 1,000 years before the birth of Christ. Who were the Phoenicians? Well, they came from what is now Lebanon in the Middle East. They were absolutely nothing at all to do with sub-Saharan Africa. Carthage was in what is now Tunisia, and the other people living there were Berbers, who also weren't black and had nothing at all to do with sub-Saharan Africa. The idea that Hannibal is black is simply based upon that linguistic trick I mentioned earlier of pretending that all Africa is black, and that if an ancient character like Hannibal, Cleopatra or Septimius Severus lived in North Africa, then he or she must have been black. In this way, I suppose that black people might enjoy watching a television drama about the Carthaginians more, but it is simply promoting a false narrative which nobody who has any interest at all in the subject would fall for a moment. It ties in, of course, with the vague idea of Wakanda, the fictional African kingdom created in American comics. By showing Egypt and Carthage as being great civilizations in Africa, led by black rulers, the myth will be maintained that sub-Saharan Africa actually had flourishing civilizations long ago. I dare say that the new Netflix show will therefore be very popular in the United States, particularly among African Americans, and it may well kindle some pride as they see a black man leading an army to invade Europe. There are quite a few themes of interest in that idea of a black African leader challenging the Romans. It is, however, I'm afraid, no more than a fantasy.